Today's webinar is about how to market your business on a low budget. This webinar is going to be hosted by BBB of Northwest and Fast Market. Here's a little bit more about the speakers. I'll introduce myself. I'm Satita Yang, the CEO of Fast Market. My passion is for helping small businesses and businesses of all sizes grow their digital marketing best practices. You guys can check out my blog at themarketinginsight.com and also my company website, which is fastmarket.com. Fast Market is a Denver, Colorado-based marketing firm. The other speaker is David Quinlan. He is the VP of Marketing for Better Business Bureau Northwest. He oversees brand management, digital marketing, advertising, and communications. David has a decade of experience in broadcast journalism, and you guys can always check out bbb.org. If you're an accredited business, you can check out more about your listing there, and also you can learn more about how to become an accredited business if you are not one. In this webinar, I'll be doing the majority of the speaking and presenting on this specific topic. This webinar will be recorded, and we'll follow up via email with all of the participants so that you guys can get a copy of this webinar and watch it again on demand. So for today's agenda, the first thing that we'll look at is current challenges that small businesses are facing today, specifically around digital marketing. Next thing is why you should invest in marketing. Third is where and what to focus on. Fourth is tactics worth executing. And then, of course, we'll have a Q&A at the end. But before we dive in, I just want to get an idea for the people who are on this webinar today. And so I'm going to ask three really simple questions, and you guys can just type it in the chat box and just say yes, me, or no. So I can just get an idea of where you guys are with your marketing efforts today, and how I can better position this webinar so that it fits you guys too. So the first question is, how many are successfully marketing their business today? How many don't have time to market their business? And how many don't know where to start? So I'll give you guys just about a couple minutes here to kind of look at these questions and type in the chat box to just give me an idea of where you are today with your marketing efforts. Okay, so I'm seeing some really good responses here. Some people are saying they don't have enough time. They're somewhat successful. They're not really successful. Yes, some are doing great marketing, and any tips are going to help them in this webinar. So great feedback. Thank you so much, guys. So let's move on to the next slide. Some of the small business challenges, and we'll kind of narrow it down to just stats here, is that 50% do not have a website. And of those, 30% site cost is the reason why. 50% spend less than $300 a month on online marketing. And depending on your company size, whether you have 5 to 10 employees or 11 to 50, your goal of increasing profit is 54% and 46%. Now, what these stats specifically tell me is that every small business owner, or any business owner in general, your goal is to maximize on growing your customer base, profitability, and revenue. And so, but the problem here is that you're not willing, or you're not investing what you need to make that happen. And so the stats of, yes, there's 50% of businesses who don't have a website. I think this is a large number, and I think that your website is a great place to capture any sort of new sales, customer loyalty, and any other things that could help build awareness for your business as well. So as we keep going down, I also think another big challenge that's beyond these stats is the perception of marketing, right? So the perception is these three things that I've heard time and time again in working with a lot of business owners. It's too expensive. You already have a website. And the other thing is, again, you don't have time. But what I really want to emphasize here is you can't afford not to invest in marketing, right? And just because you built your website doesn't mean that people are just going to automatically gravitate towards it, or they're going to know how to find you. So you really have to have some sort of, what I like to call lead magnets, or, some sort of magnet to attract people to your website. And we'll talk more about that later on in the webinar. The other thing too is if you don't have time, there are so many different resources out there that will enable you to outsource for a very cost-effective and affordable price. And so I'll mention some of the sources that you guys can look at in terms of, whether you want to hire a freelancer or you want to look at hiring, a marketing firm or agency to help you. Anything of that sort where you don't have to spend a ton on overhead, but then can still see some sort of results from your marketing efforts is really key. So the next topic is, why should you invest in marketing, right? Given all the stuff that I've just talked about, why should you invest in marketing? Here's some quick stats. 70 to 80% of people research a company online before visiting the small business or making a purchase with them. So what does this tell you? This tells you that, we do live in the digital age. Everybody's on their smartphone, their smartwatch, their desktop computers. And so the access to being able to compare brands, being able to compare products and services, any of that sort of research a company before you even decide to make a purchase with them has gotten so much easier. So you should absolutely make sure that you have an online presence so that when those 70 to 80% of people are researching for any information that's similar to a company like what you may have to offer, they can easily be able to land on your website, learn more about you, make a purchase if you do sell goods online, and or even get in touch with you or visit you locally. Next thing is, again, some people say, and when I say people, business owners say, I really don't know where to start. I don't know how much I should spend on marketing. 62% of small businesses plan to invest 4% or more of their revenue in marketing. So that's a great place to start. And maybe 4% may be too high for you, or it could be, on the lower end. But if it's too high, try to push for at least 2 to 3% of, your revenue to invest it back into your business to help with profitability and growth. And then 68% say positive reviews make them trust a local business more. So anytime somebody makes a purchase with you, or they've gotten in touch with you through like a networking event, or done business with you of any sort, it's always great to try to get reviews, because that's where a lot of people, and I'll highlight the stat later on, are going to look at, there's over 80% of people really trust online reviews. And so I think whether you're an accredited business or you're not, or you have a Google local business, your Google local business tapped in, or you're on Yelp or whatever it is, make sure that your business is present with positive reviews. So here's where we start really diving in. So where and what should you focus on? When you look at the digital landscape, it's so overwhelming, right? There's a ton of social networks. There's a ton of different things that you should be doing. All these buzzwords are floating around, from content marketing to SEO, PPC, social media. It can get kind of hard to understand, like, what can I focus on that's really going to impact my business? So before we get started, I always want you to kind of frame it around, what do you want to achieve? And when you can really outline this and prioritize it, what this enables you to do is you start working backwards. So maybe what you want to achieve, the 3 things that you want to achieve for, given that we're at the end of 2016, for 2017 is you want to build more brand awareness. You want to increase customer loyalty, and you want new customer acquisition. So you can really take those 3 components and prioritize them by which is the most important to your business in the new year. The next thing is to set a budget, right? So I mentioned this early on, that you can dedicate anywhere between 2 to 4% of your revenue back into your business and push that all around marketing efforts. And especially if you do it online, it's such an easy way for you to really track and measure in a short amount of time, where you don't have to wait months, but you can literally do it in days and hours to understand, hey, I've spent $100 on maybe doing some advertising online. Am I seeing the traction that I want to see? Is this worth me continuing on with spending my money here? And then the next thing is knowing who you're going after. So I know this is pretty obvious, but the biggest thing is really understanding where your target customers and where your current customers are online. So from researching social networks that they're most active on to any forums, any sites that they might visit, this is a great place for you to have a presence where you can participate in conversations that they might be having, make your brand present there. So the tactics worth executing. Create a website and a blog. So some of you may say, hey, I already have a website. I really don't want to go through creating a new website. That's okay. If you have a website now, there's other ways that you can really leverage it today by making sure it's optimized and making sure that you are actually funneling visitors where you want them to go when they land on your website. And then, of course, having a blog. So your website is the face of your company. It's a focal point of all your marketing efforts. And you really don't need to know how to code or have an eye for design because there's a lot of different tools out there that offer you the ability for you to do it at a really cost-effective rate. So some of them are Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, WordPress. I'm not affiliated to any of these, but these are definitely resources and tools that you can utilize today that are super easy where you can do simple drag and drop to build a really nice looking site. And the last thing is with blogging, it can help position your business as a leader in your specific field. And you can use your blog for a lot of different things, right? So for instance, you can use your blog for thought leadership. Let's say you run a coffee shop or you might run an auto shop. You can really leverage your blog as a way to promote any sort of contests, promotions, and coupons that you might be running for the month, especially with the holiday season. These are all great places to give people a reason why they want to come to your website and they want to subscribe to your blog or be a subscriber in general, because it's going to be a way for you to nurture that relationship and get them to become returning customers as well as new customers. You want to utilize email marketing. So it's a simple way to communicate with your customers and it's convenient and free. There's multiple ways in which you can really leverage email marketing. You can do it by pushing out special offers, coupons, promotions, anything of that sort. If you run a restaurant, maybe you want to have a 15% coupon that you want to email out to all your current customers. And then you can promote that coupon on your blog. And so that's another channel to say, hey, if you become a subscriber, you can get our latest offerings and coupons and promotions so that you can, the next time you're in our area, you can use it and come in and visit us. Here are 3 different email services that I've used in the past and I currently use today: MailChimp, SendGrid, and StampReady. These are free and inexpensive plans that you can leverage today, right? MailChimp is a huge one where you can leverage today for completely free. So I really encourage you guys to check out these tools. Again, I'm not affiliated to any of them, but it gives a lot of business owners a place to start where they can really begin emailing and communicating with their customers. You can use online advertising credits. So there's a lot of different platforms when it comes to online advertising. I'm sure you've heard of the term PPC, which is pay per click, and that is, search engine ads, social media marketing, so social network ads. You can throw up ads on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can do banner ads, and banner ads could revolve around things like retargeting, which is where somebody may visit your website and they don't convert as a customer, they don't take action. You can hit them with retargeting ads. Next is mobile apps, right? We live in a mobile-centric type world. Everybody's always on their phones looking down, and it's important that you take all of these things into consideration. Additionally, a lot of these ad platforms, specifically I know Google, they'll offer advertising credits where if you've never done any sort of PPC or anything like that before, you can give them a try and they'll give you anywhere between 100 to 150 bucks to just try for free. And I think for any small business owner, this really is a great way for you to get started to kind of just test the market and understand, okay, I'm going to take this money, run an ad, and see if I gain any sort of traction from it, which is in line of making sure you track and measure all of your results. And this is going to be another point that I really hone in on, because I think where a lot of businesses typically give up on their marketing, especially with like the online marketing world, is they're not properly tracking and measuring their efforts and the money going out to anything that's happening, that's coming back in. And some don't know how to do that. And so I think once you get that honed in on and you can really identify and nail down, these are, the top key performance indicators or metrics that you're going to look at to really understand if you're gaining any sort of progress or traction with your advertising efforts or your marketing efforts. That's when you start to obsess a little bit over the little things of, okay, you've tried this, you've tried that, and now you really want to just, maybe you've tried AdWords and you've tried banner ads, but then you realize, oh my gosh, just throwing up ads on social media is really helping me engage more with my target audience. And people are coming on my site, they're buying my products, or they're visiting me in store. So things like that are stuff that you should be thinking about and always making sure that you have a way to track. Get involved in social networks. So again, I know that social networks, there's just a ton of them out there, right? And so not only are they a great way to present information about your business and communicate with your current customers as well as your target customers, it's just a great way for you to also make sure that you're present wherever they are. So instead of making sure that you have a presence on Instagram, Google+, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, so on and so Pinterest, all of those things, what's most important is I always tell my clients, try to narrow down to the top 3 social networks that you absolutely know your current customers or your target customers are really active on. Because what this is going to help you do is it's going to help you focus your energy and your time to know that maybe every single day of your workday, you're going to dedicate 10, 15 minutes to each of those social networks to just make sure that you are a part of conversations that are happening. You're promoting your company on there, but not overselling your company and your products and services, but really being present. I think that's the biggest thing is brands and companies who are present where their target audience and target customers are, they tend to have a higher success rate with utilizing social networks to their advantage. And they're free to join. So the biggest thing here is you have to take advantage of it. And again, it's about being focused and just narrowing down the top 3. You don't have to be on every single one. Narrow down the top 3. If you have just the top 2, that's good enough to just really get you going so that you can kind of get into the cadence of incorporating it with your overall marketing strategy. So you may want to partner with other organizations. Teaming up with other businesses or organizations is a great way to maximize the attention you receive in your local community. And it could be, you can grow it from there too. So if you want to expand beyond just your local community and you want to go national at some point, teaming up with other organizations or a company that's like-minded and complements your products and services is a huge way that could leverage to grow your business. So you can do sponsorships of local events, youth sports, charities. I think this is all pretty obvious. But the point here is you kind of take it from, hey, I want to have an online presence, but also have an offline presence where you can really integrate the two, right? So for instance, you may sponsor some of these local events, but then have a specific URL where people can visit to learn more about your business. And that URL is only dedicated to any sort of offline or local events that you run. So any traffic that comes on to that specific URL or website or landing page, you know that they came from any sort of offline event marketing that you may have done. And so it's a great way for you to really track and measure, okay, how is my offline marketing doing as well? Some ideas, additional ideas, is you can also run co-marketing programs. And so just like I'm doing today with the Better Business Bureau, we're running a co-marketed webinar together. This is a great way for you guys you can cross-promote your products and services, and hosting these events together not only expands your market reach, but it offers the ability for you to position your expertise and authority within the marketplace. Next thing is keep track of your efforts. So by nature, I'm a data-driven marketer. I think it's like any business, you want to know, okay, I've spent $100 on this specific marketing activity. How many new customers did I drive? How many leads did I generate? All of these things are things that matter to businesses because it's going to help you understand where you should be spending more of your money, where you need to improve, and where you completely need to stop. And so some things that you can determine, again, is you can really narrow down to maybe one of your goals is to increase sales. And you want to, so by doing that, you want to track metrics related to your return on investment. So again, the example I gave is maybe you try a PPC ad and you take the $150 credit that you get and you double it. So you say, okay, I'm going to put in my own $150. It's going to be $300. I'm just going to test this out. If you get an influx of new sales that exceed the amount that you spent, that's a great return on your investment, right? But if you're seeing kind of slower results, but they're still headed in the right direction, this isn't to say, okay, you need to stop right away, but you need to give us some time to develop as well. So I think patience is a huge thing, is I think the expectation of, okay, online marketing is really quick. I can see results within hours, within weeks. I don't have to wait months or whatever before I see what's really working. But at the same time, the analogy I like to give is it's like diet and exercise. You want to see the results, you have to put in the work. So there is no magic pill for overnight success here. You really have to be committed and make that investment and view it as a marathon and not a sprint to see it work the way that you want it to. The next thing is if your goal is to just increase brand awareness, you'll want to track metrics such as your reach and engagement. And from a really simple standpoint, it could be, you may throw up a Facebook ad and you want to see how many people were exposed, the number of impressions you received, and also how many people actually commented or shared. These are all metrics that you can really use as key performance indicators to help you understand, okay, when I pushed out, maybe this promotion, or when I pushed out this specific blog post that was more centered around thought leadership, what was the type of response that I received? And then be able to pivot where you need to and also make improvements. So we're moving pretty fast, but this is a good thing. So for next steps, I just want to kind of wrap up a few things, some major takeaways and opportunities for small businesses here, right? The first is now is the perfect time. You want to invest in growing your business. You want to be where your customers are. We're at the end of 2016. I'm sure many of you, if you haven't already, you're in the process of really planning out your budgeting and all of that stuff for 2017. And so when I say now is the perfect time for you to really jumpstart your marketing efforts and really understand, based on this webinar and the information you've been given, where do you want to make those investments, right? Do you want to invest it in creating a better, modern looking website where when people land on it, they know exactly where they need to go to get in touch with you? They know where they need to go to learn more about you. Any of those things are going to be key to helping you be successful with your marketing. Next thing is to make content a priority. So content isn't just about pushing out a blog post, writing an email campaign. It's about utilizing that content to foster current customer relationships and new customer acquisitions. So content can really be the leverage that you can use to, hey, grow your business or sustain the current businesses that you already have utilizing your products and services today. So I think this is really key. And another thing with content, when you make it a priority, you have the opportunity to really map out specific topics that people care about the most. And so when you do that, you're not just writing and just having fresh content on your blog or on your website, but you're really writing content that people actually want to come on your website and read. Next thing is to improve your website. So if you haven't done it, or maybe you have done it and you're not seeing the type of results that you want, SEO, search engine optimization. So if you own a local business, you absolutely want to optimize locally, right? So let's say, let's say I have a restaurant that's here in Denver, Colorado. I'm going to want to optimize for Denver, Colorado. I'm not going to want my website to show up for somebody who's in New York searching for a restaurant similar to mine. So it's important that you do that. And it gives you the opportunity to really be a part of the local community as well. Next thing is to funnel visitors where you want them to go. There's a lot of websites that I visit today where you go on and there's just so many different call to actions, right? Call us here. You can email us here. You can you can come visit us here. And I think what's most important is to really, when you really understand who your customer is, whether it's existing or new, it's important for you to position your website around those people. Because then when they come on your website, they know exactly where they need to go if they need to request a quote, or maybe they want to schedule an appointment with you. Any of those things are really important. So if you need help, we do have a free guide that outlines a lot of the things that I talked about today. So if you guys haven't had the opportunity to download this free guide, you can get it at joinbbb.org, how to market your business on a low budget. So I'll keep this on the screen for a few seconds here so that you guys can write down this URL, and you can visit it and download this free guide to use it to your advantage. And then the next thing too is we do offer help for small business owners, where we can build a website for $79 a month for you, or help you with your online marketing for $4.99 a month. And it's no contracts, hassle free, no hidden fees. You can cancel anytime. It's all done for you, and it's affordable. So you can check out these two different URLs to learn more about these services if you're interested. And the next thing I'll take it to is I'll turn it over to you guys. So if you have any specific questions, go ahead and send them my way now. I'm going to sit here for the next, 5-10 minutes and just make sure that I get some of your answers or some of your questions answered. Again, this webinar is being recorded. We'll follow up with everybody who's on this webinar, give you the on-demand link so you can watch it again. And you can get in touch with me. You can get in touch with David if you have any additional questions. One question is, will we have access to the slides afterwards? Yes, you will. So I will put up these slides on SlideShare and provide a link for you guys as well. So you'll have the opportunity to head over to SlideShare and check out these slides and have them on hand. Let's see. The other question I have is, how do I know what I should blog about? So again, some of the tools that I use is you can do a simple Google search, right? It could be you do a simple Google search, use the Google keyword tool, or there's a tool called BuzzSumo. And you can go onto that and you can research topics around your specific niche. So for mine, if I went on there and I typed marketing or digital marketing, it's going to help me. It's going to show all the different articles that were written within the past year, month, or 24 hours around marketing that were popular and shared the most. And so I always recommend for people to check that out, because that gives you an opportunity to see what people, other readers and audiences are most interested in. And then you can position it and rewrite certain content assets to your advantage. So I have a question on what is the best way to model a metric? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, but I'm going to try my best to answer it, and then let me know if I answered your question correctly. So I think the best way to model a metric is to work off of some sort of a funnel, right? So when you look at the top of your funnel, some of the top performance, like the KPIs at the top of your funnel, are more like on the surface, such as impressions or website traffic. And then you get into the middle of the funnel, and this is more of, okay, they've taken some sort of action, which is become an email subscriber, or maybe they requested a quote or anything of that sort. And then bottom of the funnel, I really look at that's like the retention piece, right? Where the transaction has happened. The retention piece is really being able to track, like, what is our retention rate of the 500 people who walked in the door today to grab a cup of coffee, or of the, maybe you run an IT services company, of the 10 new clients that we just signed on, how many are going to, renew their contracts for 2017? Those are things that you can really look at in terms of metrics to track your progress. Other question is, what tool can I use to track my online marketing? So I think Google Analytics is the obvious one. There's so many things that you can do in that. And sometimes it could be a little cumbersome for a lot of people who, business owners who wear a lot of different hats in the organization, right? You don't have the time to sit there and learn how to be, how to utilize that tool to its full potential and to your advantage. So start with the basics. You can really utilize Google Analytics to understand what are the top referring sites, how many people visited your site, the demographic breakdown based on age, gender, uh, and affinity categories and products. Is it technology? Is it humor? Any of that stuff you can really look at. And you can also look at the top performing pages on your website and use those analytical data points to your advantage. So, for example, let's say you write a blog post. Let's say I write a blog post on how to market my business on your business on a low budget, and I get a lot of hits on that. That shows me that a lot of people visiting my site are really into that specific topic. So then I can do things where I can encourage people to subscribe so they become a subscriber, and I can easily communicate with them via email, or I can write a longer form piece of content, just like the white paper that BBB offers, is where people can come on. The content is gated. They have to put in their name, email to download that content, but then that's still information that you then have captured, and now you can remarket to those people. Let's see, I'll take one more question. The other one is, how can I get started with a blogging schedule? Should I blog every week or every day? I think for starters, it's important to start with just, if you don't have a ton of time, try a couple times a month. And then from there, really start ramping it up. And what I always recommend to my clients is have some sort of a content map or an editorial calendar that really will help keep you on track. So you can utilize tools like Trello or even Google Docs or any of that sort to just lay out a simple editorial calendar that holds you accountable or your team accountable for, okay, this week we're going to write about this topic. Who's responsible for writing it? What does the production line look like? Who's going to help proofread and edit it before you publish it? And so those are all things that you should consider. But I think starting off 2 times a month is good, and then try to ramp up to the point where you can maybe blog once every week. Keeping that content fresh and of high quality is going to help you from an SEO stance, especially if you're doing your on-page optimization the way that you need to be, the way that you are doing it, so that you can drive more traffic and qualified leads and customers. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining this webinar. I've got David's contact information here on the left, and I've got mine on the right. So feel free to reach out to either one of us with additional questions, comments, anything that you have in mind. We'd be happy to hear. Feedback is always good as well. What you wish we could cover more, any sort of topics that you would love to hear more about. Be more than happy to follow up with you guys on that. And with everybody who's on this webinar, I'll follow up with you guys via email, give you an on-demand link where you can check it out, and have a good day.